I would like to welcome you today for the 73rd Annual Alumni Awards ceremony. It's a pleasure to have you all in attendance and to welcome our newest honorees. And it's fitting that we gather here in this symbolic space at the center of a vibrant campus community where so many celebratory moments are shared. Now would you please rise for our 2014 award recipients.
Since 1941, the university community has gathered to honor alumni for their achievements and service to the University of Chicago. As president of the Alumni Board of Governors, I thank you for joining us on this beautiful Saturday morning to continue this tradition. The Alumni Board of Governors works to represent, engage, and celebrate the university's worldwide alumni, and this ceremony is one of the culminating events that bring members of our community together. Each year, members of the awards committee hold a unique privilege and daunting task of selecting a handful of honorees from a highly competitive field of alumni and faculty. We hope each of our awardees feels great pride in knowing that the University of Chicago community values their contributions and sees them deserving of this distinction. We are thrilled to celebrate the significant impact of these graduating students, alumni, and faculty today. I am pleased to welcome University President Robert J. Zimmer.
Good morning and welcome. We're gathered this morning in Rockefeller Chapel for the annual Alumni Awards ceremony, a special celebration to honor alumni for individual achievements, contributions to society, and commitment to the University of Chicago and its values. The Alumni Awards ceremony itself is closely tied to the history of the University of Chicago. William Rainey Harper, the university's first president, understood even in the university's very early days that it was a complex institution and only likely to become more so over time. He believed that such a university needed to reaffirm on a regular basis the strength and purpose that come from community, and that it needed to celebrate the unity of spirit of the university as a whole that made it much more than a simple collection of its constituent parts. Therefore, gatherings of the university community together, such as convocations, became key moments of reaffirmation of the underlying unity of the University of Chicago. Today we come together to recognize achievement and to recommit ourselves to our highest ideals, the pursuit of scholarship in an environment of open, intense, and rigorous inquiry, and a belief in the power of education immersed in such a challenging environment. Today we celebrate together the outstanding contributions and impact on society of members of our university community, and we reaffirm the lifelong commitment and relationships we all have with the University of Chicago. When the University of Chicago was founded in 1890, there were, of course, no alumni. We now graduate thousands of new alumni every year. We hope and intend that alumni leave with the capacity to analyze diverse situations with care and discipline, and that they go forward and use that ability to succeed and contribute in whatever path they choose. In fact, alumni leave our university and become leaders in every form of human endeavor. Among the award winners we recognize today are alumni, faculty, and students whose contributions are as diverse as the university that we represent. We recognize professional career accomplishments, public service, service to the university on the part of our alumni, outstanding work of our faculty, and outstanding achievements by our students. This work reflects the highest aspirations of the University of Chicago. From Harper's time to the time you spent on campus to the present, the university has seen many changes. We'll see many more changes in the future. But there has been and will be a crucial constancy as well. That constancy will be the enduring culture of inquiry and intellectual rigor in research and in education. It has been and will be manifest in different ways, but the underlying culture remains. To sustain that culture requires the effort of those of us on campus, faculty, students, staff, and administration, to foster and renew this culture through our work every day. But it is likewise essential that our alumni around the world remain passionately committed to this culture and help us preserve and enhance it as well. It is only through the combined effort and commitment of faculty, students, staff, administration, and alumni and friends that the university and our future students and alumni can achieve our highest aspirations. Through your presence here today, you are expressing your commitment to the University of Chicago. I thank you for all that you do for the university, all that you will do, and I welcome you again to the 2014 Alumni Awards ceremony.
For the past 73 years, the Alumni Awards have honored extraordinary achievements of University of Chicago alumni, faculty, and students. From Nobel laureates, Supreme Court justices, filmmakers, scientists, innovators, and those who strive to better society, the Alumni Awardees are a distinguished and diverse group of individuals.
I'm extremely grateful for this award. Words really can't express my gratitude.
This award is different than, say, the Presidential Medal of Freedom because it really comes from my peers at the university. And it is, I think, an acknowledgement of how important the university has been to me in my life.
Among the ranks of these alumni awardees are Studs Terkel, broadcast radio personality and oral historian; Mike Nichols, critically acclaimed film and play director, producer, and winner of the Academy Award for Directing, The Graduate; Bimla Bhuti, plasma physicist and founder of the Plasma Science Society of India; Claudia Dale Golden, economist, author, and professor who examines the American workforce; and James Watson Cronin, professor and Nobel laureate.
I just want to continue a legacy of excellence that University of Chicago alumni have started and have been going through.
The whole University of Chicago alumni body I find to be worthy of lots of awe and fascination. I'm filled with this desire to be good enough to feel like I have earned my place at the university.
For the contributions I've made to the university, what I get in return is that tremendous warm feeling of satisfaction.
Today, the University of Chicago joyfully inducts the newest alumni awardees. The outstanding achievements of these alumni, faculty, and students brings immense pride to the University of Chicago.
What would I like to say to this year's award recipients? I'd like to say thank you for the incredible work that you've all done.
It is a motivation for me to keep going.
This is a great honor to receive any sort of reward for having so much fun as I've had over the years.
Good morning. I'm Gruzhna Keeley, Chair of the Awards Committee of the Alumni Board of Governors. And today we begin our ceremony by recognizing those who have given extraordinary leadership and service on behalf of the university. There are two categories of recognition. First, we recognize graduating fourth-year students with the Howell Murray Alumni Association Award. And second, we recognize our alumni for their significant service to the university. These individuals have spent countless hours creating and sustaining engagement opportunities for students and alumni to support and improve the university experience by extending the life of the mind through their participation and outreach efforts into the local and global community. On the chancel with us today are 14 exceptional fourth-year students who, in just a matter of days, will join us, the alumni, and become alumni themselves. They have been nominated by peers, faculty, and staff to receive the Howell Alumni Association Award for their leadership and service in a wide range of endeavors during their college tenure. Together, this group represents over 50 student-run organizations that impact not only the campus, but the communities outside the borders of the physical campus. Students, fourth years, when we place your medal around your neck, we hope you accept the medal not just as a symbolic gesture, but as a continuing challenge to strive to be leaders wherever you find yourselves after graduation and beyond. By being part of today's ceremony, we hope you will leave inspired to walk in the footsteps of some of the alumni with whom you share this chancel and to pave new paths for those who come behind you. Students, would you please rise? When your name is called, please walk forward to accept congratulations from President Zimmer and receive your medal from the Alumni Board of Governors. And that award will be given with Tasneen Goodman, who herself, now an alum, is a former Howell Murray recipient. Audience, we ask that you hold your applause until all students have been recognized. John Robert Dulac. Robert's work as Vice Chair of Social Media and Marketing on his senior class gift committee has helped their class in a phenomenal year of fundraising. Vicente Fernandez. Vicente has found unique and interesting ways to channel his interest in sports and journalism while helping to build school spirit through the new media of Maroon TV. And he also has served as the sports editor for the Chicago Maroon. Stephanie Graish. One of Stephanie's most rewarding efforts has been establishing the mentor program for the Pre-Medical Student Association to build a true sense of a pre-med community amongst the students in the college. Zahed Hasib. Hazed led the Muslim student organization to engage with the community beyond campus, and he was instrumental in adding a full-time Muslim affairs advisor to the spiritual life staff. Zahed was awarded the James C. Morton and Henry Murphy Prize for his efforts with the Muslim student organization. Ana Maria Hernandez. Despite managing a full course load and several leadership roles on campus, Ana Maria also completed over 200 hours of service as a member of the Alpha Phi Omega service fraternity, mostly working with children in the community. Joanna Kadeva. Joanna has been deeply entrenched in the life of the campus through her commitment as a leader for O Week every year on campus, as well as a housing coordinator helping to plan the largest prospective student April overnight in history. E. Nori Kaplan Kelly. Nori has been committed to challenging human rights disparities both on campus and within the city of Chicago. She has been a peer leader to those in the University of Chicago Human Rights Program and in the LGBTQ communities. Shayan Karbasi. Shayan credits his work with Winning Words and the Institute of Politics, among other co-curricular experiences, with helping him take his critical thinking skills earned inside the classroom to become an agent for change and in his community, and to learn more from the diverse perspectives that surround him. Linda Lopez. Early on, Linda was recognized by her peers and staff as a leader and was awarded the Unsung Hero Award for commitment to helping others. During her college tenure, she helped to form the College Task Force on Low-Income Students. Alida Miranda Wolf. Alida received the Jeff Metcalf Fellowships for 4 substantive internship experiences during her college tenure. She was also recognized for her skilled writing by winning the Margaret C. Annan Award for Creative Nonfiction. Chukwuka Clarence Oko. Clarence spent time as a White House summer associate and has taken steps to be an agent of change on campus through his work on the Vice President of Campus and Student Lives Council for Diversity and Inclusion. Alexander D. Soteropoulos. Alexander received the Jane Morton and Henry C. Murphy Award for his work on Maroon TV, along with his classmate and fellow awardee Vicente Fernandez, helping to elevate school spirit through the new medium of TV on campus. William J.K. Verveels. In addition to managing, organizing a community amongst his residents in Crown House, J.K. built connections through his leadership with the Council on University Programming and the South Asian Student Association show team. Jeremy Ziering. Jeremy is proud, and rightfully so, for his work with the campus organization SPLASH, by showing over 500 Chicago public high school students that a college education can be fun and also an important and necessary experience. Please join me in congratulating all of our outstanding Howell Murray Alumni awardees.
Good morning. My name is Jeffrey Schwimmer, and I am honored to present the award for Young Alumni Service, alongside my fellow Alumni Board of Governor member, Kate Fultz-Hullis. As someone who has enjoyed working with current students and young alumni through career and mentoring programs, I know firsthand how committed our young alumni are. The Young Alumni Service Award recognizes outstanding volunteer service to the university since graduation by individuals aged 35 years and younger. The 2014 Young Alumni Service Awards go to Jenna Belitek and Luke Rodehorst. Jenna Belitek, would you please come forward? In Jenna's biography listed in the program, you can find a long, long list of activities that she's been involved with, and that's not even a complete list. However, as someone who has watched her work and take the lead on many volunteer activities, I can honestly say that she leads with passion and zeal that is truly admired by many. As one classmate writes, Jenna has been a constant reminder of why I love the university and an inspiration and persuader to get more involved. Today we are happy to present my friend Jenna Belitek with the Young Alumni Service Award for leading by example and paving the way for students and fellow young alumni.
Wow, thank you so much, Jeff. So the students I work with on the Student Alumni Committee, many of whom are here today, have a week in February that we call Philanthropy Week. And during this week, students are encouraged to give back to the university and to state publicly what they love about the school under the banner I Heart You Chicago. And so in the spirit of that, I want to state 3 things that I love about the university. And the first is that we revel in knowledge. Even in our first week at the university, we learn very quickly that we can't be an expert in everything. and we learn the joy and necessity in learning from others. And the second thing is that we're always questioning. We never accept the status quo, and we always push to new heights and try to make new discoveries. And the third thing, and my favorite, is that we really value and appreciate diversity, whether that be diversity of thought or of opinion, a background or expertise. We value it and we know that we're better off for it. And I know each of these three things has helped form the person that I am today, and I know will guide me moving forward. And so I feel very privileged to be a part of a university that shares these values and has helped form me to the person that I am. I want to thank the Alumni Board of Governors for this incredible honor, my wonderful students, fellow alums, and university staff that I've learned so much from in the past few years, and my loved ones who are here today who I share this with. Thank you so much.
Luke Roderhurst, could you please come forward? This morning, I am thrilled to present the Young Alumni Service Award to Luke Roderhurst, a fellow English major by training, pursuing technology by trade. Due to the nature of his work, Luke has made frequent moves to different cities, but one thing has always remained constant is his connection to the university through local club activities and always coming back home to Chicago. One nominator writes, his leadership supports others in making the alumni community their own, and he always has the best interests of the alumni in his mind and the university as well. As someone who has worked directly with Luke, I can fully endorse this statement. He was wonderful help during my tenure on the ABG. And it is my pleasure to congratulate Luke for the important contributions he's made in a short period and his continued work for alumni and for the university.
Thank you for those kind words. First of all, I'd like to say how incredibly humbled I am to be here on stage with such an incredible group of fellow award winners. So congratulations to everyone. Well, I don't think I realized it at the time, but the life of the mind was sparked in me at a very young age when my mother encouraged me to follow my dream job as a mythologist. An early education in the great books followed, and it's no wonder I fit in so well here. And it's really that life of the mind that brings me back, keeps me engaged, and makes me so proud to be a part of the University of Chicago. Lastly, I'd just like to say thank you to fellow alumni, to the students, to the faculty, to the administrators who really keep me inspired and wanting to continue to develop my relationship with the university. And of course, thank you to my family as well.
Hello, my name is John Davey, and today my fellow Alumni Board of Governors member Ginny Cristerna and I are honoring 3 Alumni Service Award winners for their outstanding service to the university. Lester and Judith Munson and Terry Travis Davis have found ways to make a meaningful and lasting impact in different areas on campus to ensure the welfare of the institution that they are all proud to claim as their alma mater. Judy and Lester, will you come forward? Judy and Lester are well known across the campus for their contagious energy and excitement they bring to campus events through their volunteer work. Whether it's fundraising for a new wing of a building or talking to a round table of students, whatever. As chair of the Athletic Hall of Fame Selection Committee, I've come to know Lester on a personal level and can honestly say that he is a big reason why many of the attendees come and the reason why we have so many Hall of Famers feel special about that event. One college graduate turned law student writes this: Judy and Lester are icons of guidance and leadership. Their impact on my life is profound, and I can think of no other couple more deserving of this award. And it's on that note that we present Judy and Lester with the Alumni Service Award.
Thank you so very much. I would just like to say that I was a part of the class of 1963, and we entered in 1959. By the time we ended the end of that first year, 1960, it was the beginning of the social disruption in this country. And the social fabric began to be picked apart, stitch by stitch. It was the era of civil disobedience. It was the era of drug culture. It was the era of do your own thing. It was not easy to be a student. It was not easy to be a parent. It was not easy to be the university. If you want to know exactly how difficult it was for the university, just read John Boyer's 4th paper on the occasional history of the university, and you will know and you will understand. So it's a miracle to be here. The drop out and drop acid culture was a part of what took hold during that time. So some of us dropped out. I did, but it wasn't because of acid, it was because of French. And by the time we did grow up enough to knock on the door and ask the university to let us come back, they opened the door and they made space for us. And then we graduated, and then we became doctors, lawyers, professors, investors. We gave what we could to our efforts that the university had shown us. So to give back to the university is our sacred duty, to give of our loyalty and our service and of our treasure. And if you have any doubt about how to go about doing that, just follow John Boyer, our dean of the college, around, and he will show you all the places that he has taken this college. The excitement here from the intellectual endeavor, the international platforms that have been made possible, and the Metcalf internships that have sparked careers beyond measure. It is all there for us, and we are thankful for it, and we thank you.
I am amazed that I am standing up here. Did you see that video at the beginning with the Nobel Prize winners and Studs Terkel and Judy and me in the pictures? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send that video to my bosses at ESPN, and I'm going to ask for a raise. There's also 2 of the 4th-year students behind me that we're going to hire one way or the other to make ESPN a better place. It has been my privilege to be a part of the Athletics Hall of Fame, as John mentioned. John is the godfather of that entire effort. If you have never seen the Hall of Fame in the Ratner Building, I suggest you go and take a look. Over the years, we have inducted into the Hall of Fame Jay Berwanger, a football player, one of the greatest running backs in history, a graduate of this university, who earned the Heisman Trophy as the greatest player in college football and used the trophy as a doorstop in his house. We had one young man a few years ago, a terrific baseball player, played professionally until an injury intervened. By the time he went into the Hall of Fame, he was a law clerk on the United States Supreme Court. That's the kind of individuals that this university produces in its program of scholar athletes. Judy and I are profoundly grateful for this award. We love being here. We love doing things for this university. Thank you.
Terry Travis Davis, would you please come forward? For the last decade, Terry has worked tirelessly as a leading member of the Alumni Association Board for the School of Social Service Administration to build a stronger community and support system for the alumni and students of color. Her support in the intellectual pursuit has manifested in an annual symposium on social service practice and research that exposes students to issues facing the field today and connects them to leading practitioners to continue the dialogue. One nominator shares, Terry's action-oriented commitment to SSA is driven by her goal to ensure students have a highly satisfying experience and become engaged and fulfilled alumni. We present Terry with an Alumni Service Award for helping to build a connection to future alumni.
And thank you, Jenny, for those really kind words. And I also would like to thank you, Chicago Board of Governors, for their recognition of my work and also for just allowing me to be here along this stage with all these other distinguished members of the University of Chicago. I am deeply humbled by all of this, and I would just like to say that it is really a blessing. I also want to say that as a social worker, there is a need for all of us social workers to bridge the generation. There's so much work to be done yet. We have a need for global work with our social workers. There is work within our impoverished communities where we need our social workers. There is an overrepresentation of African American men in prisons, and we need our social workers in the jails. We also need them to be working with our families where it seems like the moral fabrics of our families are just failing. We also need social workers to come alongside those children who are involved in violence in the community. You all have heard about the gun violence and how it's just ravaging neighborhoods and traumatizing children and families. So we need our social workers to come along and be advocates for these communities and advocates for the people who are suffering all over the world. Not only advocates, but meeting the people where they are and getting back to developing programs and policies that really work and cutting away those programs and policies that are barriers and hindrance to working with our people. I'd just like to also say that we should continue to research for the possibilities of finding solutions to these problems. And again, I would like to say that on behalf of all social workers, I accept this award, but mainly I accept it based from the students and the faculty of the School of Social Services Administration. And again, thank you, Chicago, very much for recognizing and honoring me with such a wonderful award. And I thank God for this blessing. Amen.
I am now honored to present the Public Service Award along with Herb Kaplan. This award honors those who have contributed to building a better society through leadership and service. Through diverse experiences, this award recognizes those whose achievements have expanded the ideas of what is possible. We present the 2014 Public Service Awards to 2 individuals leaving an indelible mark in local and national politics. Senator Bernie Sanders, would you please step forward? Bernie Sanders has been making his presence known ever since he was a student on this very campus in 1962, where he infamously led a sit-in to protest the discriminatory housing policies. There is no doubt that he is one of the most dynamic figures on the United States Senate, embodying what it means to be a public servant, taking action for the people and not special interests. As stated by one nominee, he exemplifies the best values of the university in the way that he is able to comprehend people, and he articulates it in ways in which people from various persuasions and walks of life can identify. Senator Sanders, we honor you with a Public Service Award for truly exemplifying what it means to be a man of the people.
Thank you very much. And let me congratulate all those who are being honored today, and thank the Alumni Board of Governors for this award, which I appreciate very much. The last time that I was in this extraordinarily beautiful chapel was when I graduated 50 years ago. And that is hard to believe. This country, I think, as everybody here knows, faces enormously difficult challenges today. Maybe the most difficult challenges since the Civil War in terms of trying to deal with the planetary crisis of climate change, trying to deal with a collapsing middle class, massive income and wealth inequality, a dysfunctional healthcare system which leaves 40 million Americans without any health insurance, more people living in poverty than any time in the history of this country, and a reality that hundreds of thousands of bright young people who want to go to good colleges, like the University of Chicago, simply are unable to afford to do so. And the values that I learned during my 4 years at the University of Chicago, both on campus and off campus, I hope are giving me some of the tools that I need with other members of Congress and the American people to try to address these very serious problems. So University of Chicago, thank you very much. I appreciate this award. Thank you.
Michael's led a distinguished career as a lawyer, beginning over 45 years ago as the law clerk to the great Illinois Supreme Court Justice Walter Schaefer, incidentally another distinguished alumnus of this university. And he has earned the admiration of colleagues for his success in the wide-ranging litigation practice. But it was his daring move to take on City Hall and fight its endemic system of patronage that transformed Michael and what has become known as the Shachtman Decrees into what is best described today as totemic icons of reform. By challenging and prevailing over the entrenched and powerful democratic machine, Michael effectively brought to an end the corrupting practice of hiring and firing public employees solely upon political contacts, and he opened up participation in government to everyone. For this achievement in undoing political patronage and making it possible for ordinary citizens to obtain public employment based upon merit instead of clout, we proudly present Michael Shachtman with a Public Service Award.
Well, thank you very much for this award. There was a dinner last night at which all of us were feted by the university, and when it was my turn to talk, I said this litigation has lasted 44 years. I thought I could boil it down to 10 minutes per decade. And after everybody headed for the exits, I described why I wasn't going to do that. But there are three serious things I want to say. One is thank you very much for this award. I feel honored to receive it. Number two, no effort of this sort that involves litigation that goes on and on and on against many government agencies and politicians and involves tens of thousands of public employees. Nothing of that sort happens because one person carries it forward. Quite the contrary. More than 20 lawyers have worked on this case on our side of it, and two of them are here today, Dick Johnson and Roger Frost. They were present at the inception. They created it. They deserve this credit as much as I do. Second, the battle isn't over. The problems with patronage and corruption are deeply embedded in the culture of our state. The people who benefit from it are strongly motivated to resist reform, and we recognize that reform is a step-by-step process, and that we've learned a lot about the reform process and how it can work and not work so well through our lifetime involvement in this. And third, I want to thank the university because here we have a lawsuit that was generated in 1969 by three young graduates of the University of Chicago Law School using the skills and insights and motivations that they developed at law school and through the excellent teaching we got and with the excellent counsel of people in the law school to create a lawsuit that, and a reform movement that none of us, of course, thought would involve the amount of time it has, but those of you who've read Jarndyce versus Jarndyce understand these things. So again, thank you very much to the university, to the Alumni Association. I'm grateful for the award.
Good morning. My name is Karen Hyman. I'm a longtime servant on the Alumni Awards Committee and member of the Alumni Board of Governors. Thank you, family, friends, alumni, guests, for joining us in celebration this morning. My Alumni Board colleagues, Kate Fultz-Hollis, Jeffrey Schwimmer, Larry Berlin, and I have the pleasure of honoring 4 alumni with the Professional Achievement Award. The awardees are being recognized for their unparalleled contributions they've made to their fields and professions and to the world at large during their distinguished careers. These honorees are leading humanist Leon Cass, women's heart health advocate Dr. C. Noel Barry Mers, famed art historian Peter Sells, and Pulitzer Prize-winning commentator Bret Stephens. Leon Cass, would you please come forward? I am deeply moved and honored to introduce Leon Cass, my teacher and friend. His lifelong work as a humanist, a teacher of the great books, author and anthologist, with his wife Amy Cass, chairman of the President's Council of Bioethics, is united by a singular and worthy purpose: to search for the nature of our humanity and for the ways that elevate and perfect its possibilities for human flourishing, intellectual, moral, communal, and spiritual. His achievements, conveyed with great integrity, have deepened this country's intellectual and moral life and enriched the spirits of all who have been touched by his life's work. And so we are deeply honored and gratified to present Leon Cass with a Professional Achievement Award.
Thank you very much, Karen, and thanks to the university. Little did I imagine when I sat in this chapel during orientation week 60 years ago, how the University of Chicago would enlarge my horizons, shape my thinking, and mark me forever as a Chicago man. In the college, which still featured much of the integrated Hutchins curriculum, I had many superb teachers, especially Joe Schwab, who awakened me philosophically by showing me that there were in fact great questions for which the answers I thoughtlessly carried around with me were inadequate. My teachers in the medical school included models of the healer's art and the scientist's passion. But my education really began when, in 1976, I realized the youthful dream of teaching in this university, where for 34 years I was privileged to study great books with great students, learning greatly from both. To the college, I also owe lifelong friendships of sharing speeches and thoughts, supreme among them with my bride of 53 years, Amy Apfel Cass, who I met on her first day on campus in 1959. For all these gifts, I'm enormously grateful, as I am today by the recognition by my alma mater. Long may she flourish. Thank you very much.
Dr. Mers, would you please come forward? I have the great honor to present to you Dr. Mers. Dr. Mers has made a historic and global impact in the field of cardiology for women, in particular in the areas of prevention and management of ischemic heart disease. She has become the face and voice of women's heart health. And she has papers have become required reading in the cardiovascular field. She holds the Women's Guild Chair in Women's Health and is director of the Barbara Streisand Women's Health Center, as well as the Preventative and Rehabilitative Cardiac Center at Cedars-Sinai Hospital Heart Institute in Los Angeles. Dr. Mears' commitment to women extends beyond the research and treatment of cardiovascular disease to the establishment of a women's health fellowship training program. This dominated field through teaching, training grants, and clinical mentoring in biomedical science. Dr. Mears, we celebrate you for closing a critical gap in the way women are treated for heart disease today. Thank you.
Thank you. This is such an honor. Thank you to the University of Chicago. Thank you to the Alumni Board, the Alumni Awards Committee. Thank you to Bill Sullivan, who I know is here, a colleague. I came to the University of Chicago as the first Gertrude Dudley Scholar, and this was the brainchild of Mary Jean Mulvaney and then President Wilson in the wake of Title IX to establish a women's athletic scholarship to parallel the Amos Alonzo Stagg men's athletic scholarship. This was the first women's athletic scholarship in the nation. And it was also, I was prepared to come to Chicago, coming from California, with hiking boots and a down vest. I was not prepared for Mary Jean Mulvaney to use her scholars as a impetus to get women's collegiate sports into the NCAA, which we did. She was a whirlwind of activity, and this was very important. We think of Title IX all about sports, but actually it's very comprehensive. And in the wake of Title IX, many things have changed for girls and women. Child abuse has gone down. Coincidentally, domestic violence has gone down. Educate a girl, educate a woman, and you make the world a better place. I took my out-of-the-box thinking, critical skills that I learned at my wonderful 4 years at the University of Chicago to medical school, and then internal medicine and subspecialty training in cardiology, and became aware of a fact that you may or may not be aware of, but cardiovascular disease, heart disease, is the leading killer of women at all ages, kills many more women than breast cancer. 10 times more women die every day of heart disease than breast cancer, including girls under the age of 21. This is a big healthcare disparity where cardiovascular heart disease rates have been dropping consistently since the 1950s for men. They've actually been going up for women. And the most steep rise has been in relatively young women between the ages of 35 and 55. This is a health disparity. This was happening under too short a period of time for anything to be happening genetically. It was not related to the Virginia Slims epidemic of cigarette smoking. And so 20 years of National Institutes of Health supported research that I have led, along with people across the nation and international at this point, has discovered that research performed in men, for men, and by men has done a really good job treating, preventing, and managing heart disease in men, but not so good for women. What has happened in these 20 years is that we have finally bent the curve, and in the early 2000s, female mortality from heart disease is starting to go down. And it was not discovering a new gene, and it was not trying to change the XX chromosome. It was just actually looking at how diagnostics and healthcare were being delivered for women. So I stand here in front of you to say that the University of Chicago has resulted in a 43% drop in deaths from heart disease in women in the US alone, likely many more lives saved in the world. So I'm honored and thank you.
At a relatively young age, Bret Stephens has built a large following of readers who seek his opinion pieces to gain a greater understanding of some of the most pressing issues of the day. Those who followed his work through the years can see the influence from his immersion in the great books and the Chicago discipline of challenging every assertion. As written in his nomination, Brett's writing has an ability to bring a focus of intelligent thought to his subjects and to uncover and distill meaning and substance from apparent chaos. Today, we bestow a Professional Achievement Award upon Brett Stevens for bringing order to chaos through his clear and concise prose.
A great Stoic philosopher once observed that corporations are people. Actually, that was Mitt Romney. But he was right, and it's also true of universities. And for me, the University of Chicago really is about the people in it. It was Francois Furet teaching Democracy in America. It was Nathan Tarkoff teaching Plato's Republic. It was Ralph Lerner teaching the Federalists and, no less importantly, the Anti-Federalists. But above all, there were two great teachers in my time at the University of Chicago. They were Amy Cass and Leon Cass. I learned many things with Amy and Leon. I learned books. I learned the Odyssey with Amy, Genesis with Leon. But what I mainly learned from them is that great wisdom and great decency are ultimately indivisible. Sometimes I find myself writing my column, and I'll be working on a paragraph and feel that I'm onto something, that there's a thought, but it's not fully chewed over, fully digested, written as well as it ought to be. And I can hear Leon's voice in my head saying, "Give me just one more sentence on that, Mr. Stevens." Or Amy with her hand saying, "Also?" So it is to me the greatest honor and privilege and joy not only to be receiving this distinguished award, for which I thank the board from the bottom of my heart, but to be receiving it in such wonderful company with the two teachers who meant so much to me. Thank you very much.
After reading any article or book about Peter Zels, one concludes that he is truly an art world luminary. His work established modern art as a field of study, and as a curator, he discovered many of the artists whose work enriches our lives today. He has held the art world captive in ways that no other can describe better than his biographer, Paul Karlstrom, who wrote, "Zell's only intent, but inviolable requirement is that art be serious in intent, regardless of style, and philosophically devoted to the human condition." At 95, one can truly say that Peter Zels has dedicated his life to the arts, and while he could not be with us today, we are humbled to honor him with the Professional Achievement Award.
My name is Tasneem Goodman, and I am the incoming chair of the Alumni Board of Governors Awards Committees. I will be representing the Norman Maclean Faculty Awards with my colleague, Mike Dodge. The Norman Maclean Faculty Award carries the name of a beloved professor of English who came to the University of Chicago for graduate school and, like many others, remained for his entire professional career. This award recognizes outstanding contributions to teaching and student life at the university by senior faculty members. Today we honor 3 professors who have left an indelible mark on the students who had the privilege of learning from them. Professor Richard Epstein, would you please step forward? To the world, Professor Epstein is a well-respected legal scholar, but to his former students and fellow colleagues, he is also someone who embraces campus life and student well-being as an important part of obtaining a good education. Beyond the classroom, Epstein has served on many committees across campus, including the Provost Task Force on Undergraduate Education, and he currently sits on the steering committee for the Pew Program in Joint Degree PhD programs in medicine. In the words of one former student who now serves on the Law School Visiting Committee, "It is extraordinary for such a distinguished scholar to be so accessible and to take such a sustained interest in students." As a former student of Professor Epstein's myself, I am delighted to present him with the Norman Maclean Faculty Award.
Thank you again. It's a very great honor to be here. And every time I come forward, I think of all the many students that I've had at the University of Chicago Law School. And I will only single out one for special mention today. She was an extremely provocative, somewhat difficult, always exciting student. It was Jean McLean Snyder. She was kind of very much like her father, I suspect, in terms of the complete intellectual engagement that she had. This was also something that was shared by many other students at the University of Chicago, particularly in the law school. It is often said that architecture determines sociability, and that is certainly the theme that I would like to stress in the brief remarks that I make now. We don't have a separate dining area for the law school faculty inside the student lounge. We just sit and we mingle and we talk. And one of the things that you discover when you do all of this stuff is that talking between classes in the corridors and in the hallways is in fact as much a part of your education as anything else. When I was young, I learned a great deal from people who are a lot older than me. Now that I'm older, the only people I can learn from for the most part are people younger than me, and that includes all the students that I've had at the University of Chicago since the time I was here in 1972. One nice feature about this law school is it always believes in free entry. You teach things that you want to teach, things that you don't know. You manage to start a sentence without having any idea of how you will finish it. And having said that sentence, I think it's now time for me to sit down. So thank you.
Professors Suzanne and Lloyd Rudolph, will you please come forward? Professors Suzanne and Lloyd Rudolph have been partnered not only in marriage and raising a family together, but lifelong partners in intellectual endeavors, teaching and world travel. Former students spanning across their 34-year tenure at the university recall the lively and sometimes heated discussions they led in their classrooms, during office hours, and even while walking to the gym. Colleagues admire the Rudolphs for their holistic approach to teaching and ability to meet the needs of their students in truly creative ways. Beloved both in India and the US, the Rudolphs have helped to influence generations of scholars, activists, writers, and politicians. And it is for that incredible legacy they built together that we honor them today with the Norman Maclean Faculty Award.
Well, we had a wonderful 34-year run at the University of Chicago. It was wonderful because of the students we taught in the college, in our department, and in the divisions. It was wonderful because it was such an interdisciplinary place. Our students came from political science, but from other departments and disciplines, and our colleagues and friends did likewise. We established very close relations with our students. We had many PhD students, college students. We had them to our house, and we worked, for years with PhD students, became like members of your family. The big thing, though, is that we spent a lot of our time doing research in India, writing books about India, and Susanna, who was not only chairman of the Department of Political Science for 2 years, but for 15 years, director of the South Asia Center. We spent a lot of time in India. And it's been wonderful this year because President Zimmer and many other people were instrumental in establishing a center in Delhi, a beautiful space, beautiful for interdisciplinary research, linking Indian scholarship and American University of Chicago scholarship. And Susanna and I had the pleasure of being there for the opening and contributing to that opening. You can read all about it in the latest issue of the University of Chicago magazine with pictures. So I urge you to have a look at that. The big thing is that India is a marvelous place to study. It's as ancient a civilization as Europe, and it is also manages with all that diversity, complexity, and difficulty to remain a democracy. It just had its 15th general election, 850 million voters, of whom 66% voted, generally more than the US, producing a majority government and showing the world that despite all the difficulties of non-literacy and so forth, that democracy can work in a country like India. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dr. Robert Dorkhazy, member of the Alumni Board of Governors and past president of the Medical and Biological Sciences Alumni Association. I have the great pleasure of presenting the Alumni Medal, the highest honor granted to an alumnus by the Alumni Association. It recognizes achievement of an exceptional nature in any field, covering an entire lifetime. Dr. Donald Steiner is best known for his research into the biochemical nature of insulin impacting the millions of people living with diabetes. His studies contributed to the discovery of proinsulin, which led to the development of recombinant human insulin for diabetes therapy. This biosynthetic human insulin is now the standard form of clinical treatment around the world. Dr. Steiner's writings are so influential that his works have been cited more than 10,000 times by researchers in their own work. The global impact of his work is evidenced by the many awards he's received from around the world, including the Wolf Prize in Medicine, the Candidate Gardner International Award, and the Albert E. Reinold Award from the American Diabetes Association. On a personal note, I have served with Dr. Steiner on the Medical School's Alumni Council and have seen his passion for the university firsthand. One of his colleagues wanted to share this statement on what truly makes Dr. Steiner stand out. Don's outstanding mentorship of myself and numerous other colleagues, his generosity in sharing the honor of his remarkable scientific discoveries with his trainees, and his modesty and kindness. His leadership of the diabetes program at the University of Chicago made it a magnet. Dr. Steiner, we ask you come forward now so we can honor you for your lifelong dedication and achievements in advancing our understanding of insulin and how it interacts in the human body.
been a wonderful morning. I hope you are still with me. I'm deeply grateful for the recognition of this medal today. My thanks to all those who participated in making it happen. It's a wonderful surprise for me. When I first came to this university 62 years ago, it was with the hope that a medical education would provide a way for me to become engaged in research on the chemistry of life. I knew almost nothing about biochemistry, but I had great faith in the ability of this university to help me find my way. I had no preconceptions about what I might eventually be doing, but I was willing to learn, and it was soon apparent that there would be very much to be learned. There isn't time today to describe the emergence of my career out of my medical school experience, but it has been one that has given me great joy and satisfaction and continues to do so. My sources of inspiration were both my professors in the medical center as well as my 65 classmates in the class of 56. Several in this class, like me, were leaning towards research and seeking laboratory experience, and that kind of searching is what especially animates the University of Chicago. I just want to briefly mention Donald D. Brown in developmental biology at the Carnegie Laboratory of Embryology in Baltimore, who was one of my inspirations in choosing biochemistry as a department to try to penetrate as a student. During our first year in medical school, in the spring of 1953, James D. Watson, a U of C alumna, and not yet Sir Francis Crick, published in the journal Nature their seminal report revealing the helical structure of DNA. This was one of the most influential papers in biology ever written in terms of its impact on genetics and the life sciences, setting the tone for generations of biological scientists. Molecular structure is clearly the fundamental key to understanding how living organisms work, how they develop, grow, metabolize, think, and maintain constant internal environments throughout their lives. The last century saw the greatest expansion of knowledge in the life sciences in history, quite comparable to the growth of knowledge in the physical sciences, astrophysics, and cosmology. But there's still so much more to learn and so many illnesses yet to be treated. My own scientific cosmos is the neuroendocrine system, especially the pancreatic islets of Langerhans, with their key role in providing insulin and glucagon, hormones that either lower or raise our blood sugar as needed. Insulin is produced in specialized secretory cells in the islets called beta cells, and glucagon an alpha cell. These cells were first identified in 1907, before their hormones were even discovered, right here in the University of Chicago by M.A. Lane, a student of Professor Robert B. Bensley in the anatomy department. A third cell called D, or delta, was later identified in 1930, also here, by the histologist William Bloom. I became more interested in the microscopic world of the islets when I realized that although we treated diabetic patients successfully with insulin, we didn't know much at all about how it produced its life-enhancing effects. So I started out working on that problem, and then later switched over to another mystery, which was how insulin is made in the body. Insulin was shown by Fred Sanger in 1955, who received a Nobel Prize for that work, to have a novel two-chain structure, and that invited lots of speculation about how it was synthesized. And that prompted me to try to find out how it actually was done. The key experiment involved incubating slices of a small insulin-producing tumor made up of pure beta cells that was removed from the pancreas of a patient in Billings Hospital in October of 1965. The experimental part took only a few hours to do, but the analysis of the product was a challenge for me. that extended over many months. However, the results opened up a whole new field for study, that of proinsulin, as Bob mentioned, and eventually many other similar prohormones and other proteins, which have transformed the field of neuroendocrinology. Next year will be the 50th anniversary of that experiment, which literally provided me with work to do for the rest of my life, and for many other investigators as well. An offshoot of that work was the discovery of a peptide that Arthur Rubinstein, unfortunately, couldn't be here today, and I called the C-peptide, a part of proinsulin that makes it a single polypeptide chain, which aids its folding and assembly into the unique two-chain insulin structure. And then the C-peptide is cleaved away. Arthur joined my lab group in 1968 and soon demonstrated that every molecule of insulin secreted from the islets is accompanied by one of C-peptide. Then he and subsequent collaborators, mainly Kenneth Polonsky, here today, our Dean, Vice President of the Biological Sciences Division, developed a highly sensitive assay for the C-peptide in blood, which today enables diabetics anywhere in the world, doctors anywhere in the world, to accurately measure the rate of insulin production in the body. Information of great value in evaluating diabetes severity and therapy. I'm pleased today to share the honor of this award with Arthur and Ken, and also with another longtime coworker, Shujin Chan, who discovered pre-proinsulin, the initial protein product that's actually encoded in the insulin gene, in 1975. And Shu is currently working with an international team that is studying how insulin binds and activates its receptor. We still don't know that at the molecular level. The DNA encoding the large human insulin receptor gene was first identified and sequenced here by two additional key colleagues, Graham Bell, director of our Diabetes Center, Research and Training Center, and Susumu Seno, now at Kobe University in Japan. Today, Graham Bell and Lou Phillipson, Chris Rhodes, and other members of the Kovler Diabetes Center here are unraveling the genetics of new monogenic forms of diabetes and inventing new therapeutic approaches to the treatment of all forms of diabetes. Without the many contributions of all these folks and many other wonderful students and associates over the years, my greater family, I wouldn't be here today. My profound gratitude to all of them and to the University of Chicago, truly my second home, and to all of you for your presence here today.
Thank you again for joining us for this special occasion. These individuals share the foundation of pursuing transformative ideas with rigor and intense inquiry. I'm in awe of their impact, and I hope that you're as inspired as I am to do more in engaging with both the university and the world. Alumni Weekend offers many activities for you to share the stories of the remarkable honorees that you have heard here today. I invite you to continue the celebration and connect with your classmates at the Alumni Barbecue and Family Festival at Bartlett Quad. On behalf of the University of Chicago Alumni Association and the Alumni Board of Governors, thank you and congratulations once again to our 2014 Alumni Award recipients and student medalists.